what we're talking about here is actually described here in this Constitution, because it says in Part 1, Article 37, I don't have my articles wrong. No, Part 1, Article 38. It says that you're to have a particular regard to a set of principles in the selection of your representatives and, well, your legislators. The fundamental principles of the Constitution and a constant adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, industry, frugality, and all the social virtues. And you have a right to require of your lawgivers and magistrates, that's your people in the legislature and all the other branches of government, a constant and exact and constant observance of them in the formation and execution of the laws necessary for good government. So that's what you're doing when you go to a public hearing. You're holding them accountable to the Constitution and all the principles of good government, all the social virtues. That's why you're there. Why do you? What gives you this? What gives you this authority? Why do you have any authority or responsibility to be up there testifying? I gave you one. Can anybody tell me another?
Self-defense.
Well, yeah, but there's something more exact.
An expertise in that particular area?
No. We're up there exercising authority. We're up there exercising power.
Because the government gave you the privilege?
Oh.
Because the government...
Privilege?
No, absolutely not. You're backwards.
The Constitution gives us the...
No, it doesn't. No, the Constitution...
We have a natural right.
The Constitution states our rights, but I think he's asking where the rights come from, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Where do all power originates with whom?
The people.
The consent of the government.
The people. Article 8. All power originates with the people. And therefore, your agents, all the officers of the government are your agents and substitutes, and are at all times accountable to you. It's where we get our idea of government ethics and the right to know law. But what it really says is everything we do up there is only legitimate if you say it is. If you, the people. So that's why you're up there giving testimony and giving us direction on how to evaluate these bills. Yes.
But people in the collective sense, or to each individual?
To each individual.
But that doesn't mean that I can say I disagree with that law and therefore it doesn't pass.
No. That's why you elect representatives to represent you. It's why you must hold your representative accountable as to how he voted, he or she voted. That's why we're all here. But that's why you have the authority to go up and testify. I have a question. Maybe you know, Dennis, and maybe you don't. Is there a reason why this was up here?
I thought you put it up there.
No, I didn't put it up there.
No, it's been up.
I do have a handy list of things that people probably will find interesting on that day, and it's included on there.
It's one of the ones that...
That's why
If someone put it up there, it's a mole.
That is really wild. That is really wild. And by the way, there is a mention of fiscal note. To the best of my knowledge, there is no fiscal note upon the bill. I.e., if you look it up on the web, there's no fiscal note attached to it. That's what FN means. And I'm not quite sure what the fiscal note would possibly be. I guess, are we going first over decorum here? Does everybody understand the decorum involved in a hearing? How many people here, you've testified, you've testified, you've testified, you've testified. Have you testified? No.
I did years ago, but not.
Okay.
And there's people on video who aren't here yet. for the benefit of those who are not here, possibly.
Okay. Would it be useful to set up and pretend we had a hearing?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, unless I'm the only person who's done
No, we've got 3. And we've got people on the video, so why don't you stop the video while we set up? Okay. We just went over, the question was, why is CR 21 any different than House Bill 1543? And disregarding the issue of content, the first difference is that CR 23 is an amendment to the Constitution, and therefore has to be approved first by 2/3 of the House, or 2/3 of the introducing body, 2/3 of the second body, and then 2/3 of the people. And the question I posed was, how long has the legislature had the power to introduce constitutional amendments? And it was assumed that it was since the beginning of the state, but that is incorrect. It has been since 1964. And this is very important, because the Constitution traditionally has been understood as the people's restraint upon government, i.e. only the people could introduce amendments, and only the people can approve amendments. And if you look at, to my accounting, all of the amendments which have severely compromised the people's liberty have been made by the legislature, have been proposed by the legislature.
But you said, who could propose amendments besides the legislature?
Originally we had a question on the ballot, do you want to have a constitutional convention every 7 years?
Really? That's
We now have it, since 1964, it was changed from every 7 years to every 10 years, being on the decade. So 2000, 2010, there's the question put on the ballot as to whether or not the people want to have a constitutional convention, which would then be held in, actually I think I'm wrong, it's in 2012, so that you have the opportunity for accounting the census and knowing how to elect the delegates to the convention, which are elected in the same way as representatives. That goes on the ballot in 2012. People will vote. If they vote to have a constitutional convention, then that would be held in 2013, and the resulting amendments to be put before the people in 2014.
So that's one of the ways that amendments can be proposed. The other one is via the legislature, and they acquired that power in '64.
Correct.
How did they acquire that power?
It was proposed in the convention of 1963,
So we had a constitutional convention here in '63.
and one in '83.
So these are not as rare as I might have suspected.
That is correct.